Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. All right, we're going to talk about yeasted breads and rolls today. Specifically, we're going to talk about flatbreads. In the 20-minute demonstration, I gave you all some information, a little bit about why flatbreads were so important 6,000 years ago. They're the oldest bread. And some of the reasons we came up with was they're portable. A lot of nomadic people back then, so they could move them around. Very inexpensive because minimal ingredients. Water, flour, if they were lucky, a little salt, a hot rock, and you got a flatbread. So they're fast, no need for an oven, and wild yeast was readily available. No baking powder, things like that. Yeast is all around us. So that's what we talked about in the 20-minute. All right? We're going to go into a little talk about flatbreads that we know today. I just want to lay down some ground rules first. So the way this is going to work is we're going to talk briefly about this. I'm going to go over and give you a demonstration of a flatbread, right? And then all of you will break into dyads or triads if we need to, and some will cook and some will make the flatbread, and given enough time, everyone will get to do each job. Sound like fun?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So we know the 12 steps of bread. Again, from the 20-minute demonstration lesson: scaling, mixing, fermentation, punching, knocking the air out after it's fermented, after the rise, bringing it back down, then scaling it, which is portioning it, rounding it out. You guys familiar with rounding the dough?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Why is it important to round your dough? Chandler?
To make it tight, so it's not like falling apart.
Yep, yep. Anyone else? Anyone else have another reason? Alexa? Rounding the dough creates making it tight, like you said, but also if you just cut your dough and lay it out, you run the risk of having dry pieces, things like that. When you shape it, it helps to form it for the future process. And since we have round doughs, it is important to have a rounded piece of dough to start with. All right? Benching it is the resting process that allows the gluten to relax. Makeup and panning. So again, these are geared towards a standard loaf bread. You can probably see that makeup and panning may not be necessary for a flatbread, but pretty much we stick to those. All right. So I'd like to hear from all of you. Give me some ideas of some flatbreads that we see in our daily life. That sometimes we don't even think of them as flatbreads, we just eat them.
What about a cracker?
Cracker can be. You can have a yeasted cracker. We want to stick to yeasted flatbreads today, but there are yeasted crackers, absolutely. Pizza, the biggest one, right? Pizza. Go ahead, yell it out.
Naan.
Naan.
Good one.
Focaccia, I heard. What else?
Pita.
Pita.
Does chapati count?
Chapati is unleavened, but it can be leavened. I mean, the addition of yeast is all it takes to leaven. I mean, and actually, I mean, technically, baking powder is a leavener as well, but we're talking about yeasted. So, anything else? Roti, which is excellent, since that's what we're going to be making today. Anyone else? Anyone else? How about injera? Injera is the flatbread. You don't think of it as a bread, but it is a yeasted bread. It's the teff bread that Ethiopians use, and they use it as a vehicle. That's something else on here. A lot of times in the old days, they didn't have forks and spoons, so they used the bread as their tool. All right. So injera is kind of different though. That's not really there. But I've grouped these because the pita, the roti, and the naan are very similar. And the focaccia and the pizzas, of course. I was thinking about it today. What about English muffins? Would they be a flatbread? I think so. I think so. English muffins. I put it in the your handout for the 85-minute was yeasted waffles. I guess there could be an argument that it isn't, but could be an argument that there is. All right. So, does that give us an idea of what flatbreads are?
Yes.
All right. And why they were so ubiquitous back then, and why they are now. I mean, we're not as nomadic now, but certainly, you know, you can use a yeasted bread, a lavash bread, right? A lavash bread is also in here. You could use that as a wrap for shrimp or whatever you like. So, are there any questions on that? Yeah? All right. And then why yeast? This was another question I wanted to ask you all. If we're going to take a bread and we're not going to allow it to rise, so we're saying we want it yeasted, but we don't necessarily want it to rise. Why would we even use yeast? Any thoughts?
For flavor?
Flavor. Very good. Flavor. That is an important one. What else?
Pockets.
Pockets. Yeah, it creates a pocket. Definitely. Yeah.
Texture?
Excuse me?
Does it add texture?
It can add texture. It can add flavor and texture. And actually, yeah, the texture comes because it helps form the gluten strands of the bread. Without gluten strands, we really have flatbread. But not in a good way, obviously. So, are there any questions about flatbreads at the moment? No? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We talked about this. I want to just kind of clean this up as we go. You have this in your packet. So at your leisure, when you're thinking about it to get an idea, you can put that stuff down. The 12 steps is also in your packet. So what we're going to do is we are going to break up into groups. I have 5 stations set up. So what I'd like to do is just count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll go to those stations. Actually, for the demonstration, I'm going to demonstrate to you how I'd like the dough, and then you guys are going to break into teams. If there's 3 in a set, 2 will be on the fabricating side, and 1 will be on the cooking side. Okay? But if there's 2, decide amongst yourselves, no fighting, who's going to cook and who's going to fabricate. All right? So let's start that now with Jess. How you doing? 1.
2, 3,
5. 5. Try it again.
1,
1.
2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Okay. So 1 is far to the left, 5 is far to the right. Remember your numbers, but please go over to the corner over there so we can start the demonstration. You'll also note, everyone, that on the board there's a brief cleanup set. So given time, each group 1 will collect the sauté pans off to the side, 2 will wipe down the rechauds, bring them over here, 3 will collect the product onto a single sheet pan, 4 will wipe down tables, and 5 will get the cutting boards out of the way. Sound good? All right. If you're comfortable there, stay there. Whatever you want to do. All right. So